This is one of these Yahoo questions. What is the best way to stop your child from becoming an atheist? And so, one of the best answers got voted on, very highly marked. It says, the best way to stop your child from becoming an atheist is you do not educate them or expose them to critical thinking, logic, or science. You lie to them constantly about how the world works, feed them a steady diet of mumbo-jumbo dressed up like real knowledge, the jumbo jet and the whirlwind, for example, and pretend that it is deep wisdom. Make them loathe their own natural bodies and functions. Convince them they are small and weak and worthless and need redemption. Tell them everything enjoyable is grievously wrong to even think about, and that their only fun should be in groveling to an invisible friend. Ensure that they present anyone who is not like them in every way, skin color, nationality, political opinion, but especially creed. Make such people out to be evil and vile and give them impotent minorities all the fictional power to somehow oppress and persecute the vast majority who do not think like you. Teach them to laugh at and dismiss out of hand any faith but their own. Early, mind you, make sure they are taught the difference between superstitious and deadly error. That one raving lunatic in the desert told the truth about a vicious God who killed people, and divine eternal truth. That another raving lunatic in the desert told the truth about a vicious God who killed people. Instruct them with all severity and import to never question for themselves, to never think for themselves, to never live for themselves, but to seek answers only in just one particular set of semi-literate Bronze Age folk tales. Above all, and this cannot be overemphasized, make sure they cannot spell, use correct grammar, or understand basic English words. That should do the trick. That's the best way to stop your child from becoming an atheist. Brainwash, indoctrination. That's what Hampton said, actually. Janine Hampton had said that at the, she's a lieutenant governor candidate, Republican. They asked her what they had thought about early childhood education, and she said, indoctrination. Head Start is for indoctrination. And he did actually say something interesting about success by six, working with Skynet. Success by six. I think in Erlanger, they're doing success by six, and that's a different way for young people to be educated. So Head Start isn't the only, thing out there. Is all. It seems like, I don't know. I think Bevin would be a breath of fresh air. I'm not going to vote for Bevin because I don't think his policies are good. But I like the way he conducted himself. I like how he is. Remain resolute, remain strong, remain significant. He didn't, go quietly into the night after he lost against Mitch. He had a good campaign against Mitch. He's running a good campaign right now. Strong. He's been neck and neck with Jack the entire time. He beat, 3 other candidates in the GOP primary. I like how proper he is. I like how he quotes Mark Twain. I like how he's intelligent. I like how he's a good speaker. He's also, not only is he genuine, but he's also, personable. So I'm probably going to say more about that. But Matt Bevin has, I think he's redefined Kentucky politics. He would be a high-impact governor. He has, he's told the truth as he's seen it with the lies. Jack Collins said he's a pathological liar. Most of the time, he's actually right on the money. He has nuanced details, and so when someone wants to say one thing, and he's like, "That's not what I said," and most of the time he's right. He's got people try to do gotcha questions all the time, but I think he actually threads that needle. Puts the thread through the needle actually pretty carefully. But reasons why I won't vote for him. He's a bigot. He's a bigot. He went ahead and wrote on that anti-Kim Davis sentiment. He's been keeping this issue alive. 2004, Kentucky did vote for bigotry, which actually was a Karl Rove Bush tactic to get the homophobes out to vote. And then when the homophobes come out to vote, then they'll also vote for their guy. So bigotry, like a Southern strategy almost, put the issue on the ballot, raise turnout rate in the direction of, that you want to raise the turnout rate. And we voted for discrimination, 75%, of Kentuckians who voted, which actually this year is going to be 40%. So 75% of 40%. It's actually, it was the vast majority of voters, but that only means it was 30% of Kentuckians at the very most who was for bigotry. 2004, that was a presidential year, so there would have been more voters there, maybe even got to the 50% threshold. But voter turnout rate is actually a problem for the entire country. So that's, that shit, I don't like that. I like his charter school ideas and his medical marijuana ideas, but he's also, he caveats his acceptance of where medical marijuana is, but he's going to drug test the shit out of everybody. He's not for recreational marijuana. He's not for freedom. He's not for us actually having a right to our own body or overturning the war on drugs. Jack Conway is actually in favor of escalating the war on drugs. So Jean Marie Lawson-Spann is actually more radical than Matt Bevin. She's running an advertisement right now that says, she's in favor of medical marijuana to ail the symptoms of cancer patients. Jean Marie Lawson, adorable, cute, Commissioner of Agriculture. She's been doing this forever. She's a little too 80s. She's got that 80s haircut, and I don't know. I know you like the era that you grew up in, but the 80s, I don't do 60s. She can tie her hair up in a bun or pull her hair back. But the bangs and the big hair and the, kind of, I don't know. I don't like it. She's got a young, pretty face. So, show off that young, pretty face. She's also innocent. She is innocent. She, isn't naive, but she's innocent. She's the type of woman that people would want to rush to protect, even dyke lesbian women, it's like, no. She's cute. You can't touch, you gotta stay away from her. And that's good. I think that's a good thing because those actually can be really good leaders. It just, what they dream will get done. Ryan Quarles is, I guess he's a fighter. I respect him, his campaign, his politics. He's put on a good front. Yeah, Jean Marie, I like Jean Marie, Adam Edelin. Even Allison Grimes is better than the one that she's running against now. She had a good progressive actually run against her though. And then the other Democrat, I'm voting for 4 of the 6 races, vote for the Democrat. And vote for Janet Stumbo. I'm in favor of Janet Stumbo. The only Republican I'm in favor of is Allison Ball. And for governor, I probably will vote for Drew Curtis. Drew and Heather, because they got the best chance to win. I don't know what will happen on Election Day if only 40% of the public, or 30%, I've even heard it's going to be in the 30%, which is embarrassing. But if only 30% of the public vote, and 1/3 of those, meaning 10% of Kentucky, voted for Drew, gives him 33%, that blows the whole election wide open. If he gets 33%, then that means the only votes that they could get is 33%. So now he's blown the entire election wide open with 33% of the vote. And with 33% of the vote, he's got a chance. He's got a chance. And the polls weren't right with my campaign, Lieutenant Governor campaign. It said 13% when I was getting 21%. They was off by 8 points. And that's kind of embarrassing. That's kind of stupid. The fact that, 8 points is significant. The fact that they're off by 8 points, I'd never, thought that I was going to win. But I wanted to win. I was trying to win. Hoping to get 51%. That's what I was going for. But they're 8 points off. And if you're 8 points off, polls aren't elections. Usually they are good indicators of what's going to happen. But, you know, when you railroad somebody, when you keep them out of the debates, when you don't talk to them, when you don't let them participate because they didn't earn enough money, because they're not polling high enough, it's a self-serving prophecy. You know, they don't cover them, nobody knows who they are, so their poll numbers stay low. The media should be talking about emerging candidacies, what their policies are, who they are, and giving like a whole descriptive analysis of, you know, every bit of them, instead of hatchet job hit pieces, gotcha questions. They're lazy and obnoxious and petty and pompous. So, I guess I'm gonna spend the last 10 minutes on Mother Teresa. You know, that's something that Sean Hannity sort of made fun of Chris Hitchens. Oh, he doesn't even like Mother Teresa. Well, if you look closely at what Mother Teresa has done, let's start actually out with a couple quotes here. So this is on bbc.co.uk. It says in a letter to Reverend Michael Van der Peet in September 1979, she writes, "Jesus has a very special love for you. As for me, the silence and the emptiness is so great that I look and do not see, listen and do not hear. The tongue moves in prayer, but does not speak." She doesn't believe in God. She doesn't believe in Christianity. She's having, in 1979, she's having all these really strong questions. And then they keep on going. She even says that she felt no presence of God whatsoever, neither in her heart or in the Eucharist. So she didn't believe in God. And this is the Catholic has made her a living saint, beatified her. She's, you know, one of the best propaganda pieces ever. She's usually mentioned right up there with Gandhi and MLK and Mother Teresa. But if you actually read some of the things that she was doing, it seemed like she either was a willing tool for her ministry or she knew what was going on the whole time. And so Mother Teresa was more about not curing homelessness and hunger, but to expand her ministry, to set up her religion and convents for nuns and to expand the Catholic Church. She had a very particular philosophy about suffering. She actually thought that that's how people got to heaven, is through suffering. Poor people need to suffer. Chris Hitchens actually quotes her, says that her own words on poverty proves her intention wasn't to help people. In 1981 press conference, Mother Teresa said, they asked her, "Do you teach the poor to endure their lot?" And Mother Teresa replied, "I think it is very beautiful for the poor to accept their lot, to share it with the passion of Christ. So you're poor, you're destitute, enjoy your suffering." This is Nietzsche, 101. I think the world is being much helped by the suffering of the poor people. How does poor people suffer and help anybody? If that helps anybody, it helps the wealthy, rich, middle class, and everybody else who wants to take the poor people's stuff. Poor people stay poor, don't have any power or money, but they're going to get to heaven, right? That's sort of the exception. It's like you suck, you're poor, you're a loser, but you will be rich and wealthy and have lots of friends when you die. That's a religion for slaves. So that's the motivation for her supposed charitable activities, more or less, is to expand in her ministry and her organization in the Catholic Church. So there's lots of different things. So let's see. Criticism of the media, from the media, support of Indira Gandhi. Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's suspension of civil liberties in 1975. Mother Teresa said, "People are happier, there are more jobs, there are no strikes." So she's not pro-union, not pro-solidarity, suspension of civil liberties. It's like, oh, everybody's happy, more jobs, good for them. Even the Catholic media had criticized her for saying that. Mother Teresa encouraged members of her order to baptize dying patients. I don't know. I think it's, some people say it's either an innocuous gesture or it's, gaining them the entry to heaven. But I remember Black Robe, whenever one of the Native Americans would die, they would run over and try to get them to give their soul to God right at the very end of their death. And so I think that's just like a way to take someone's soul, take someone's last dying wishes. You're not helping them. Like Black Robe the whole time just took resources, walked around in his robe, pretending he was better than everybody. And once, a Native American about died, run over to him and say, "You want to go to God now?" So he was excited. "Oh, you're dying? Oh, that's good. You get to go to God." Some questionable relationships. This one actually got to me. The Duvieres. This is Baby Doc and Papa Doc. One of the few times the CIA actually did something good for Latin America. There's Guatemala and all the death squads. There is a black power element that I guess I might have not seen, but these are butchers. Baby Doc and Papa Doc are butchers. They killed lots of Haitians. They stole lots of money, billions of dollars. Baby Doc took off with billions of dollars, ran to France. But Mother Teresa flew to Haiti to accept the Legion d'Honneur from the right-wing dictator, Baby Doc. And she quoted that the Duvieres loved their poor and that their love was reciprocated. So, yeah, they loved them to death. They robbed the hell out of them. There's also Mother Teresa's endorsement of an aggressive atheist regime of Enver Hoxha in communist Albania. She visited Albania in August 1989, where she was received by Hoxha's widow, Miji, foreign minister. Anyways, Albania, she said how wonderful Albania was, and they're very ruthless and repressive. But by the time of her death, the missionaries of charity had houses in most communist countries. So, I don't know, maybe that her reach is good, right? She's able to get into these communist countries. But it's not the communism, it's the fascism, it's the authoritarian. The fact that you care about poor, it's not a bad thing, but it's if communist or capitalist countries could get rid of their authoritarian, totalitarian, fascist police state nature, that's when you get your human rights injustices. There's, she accepted money from the British publisher Robert Maxwell when it was later revealed that he embezzled £450 million from his employees' pension funds. She never thought about giving any money back. Also, Charles Keating, the Keating Five, found out that he was charged with fraud following high-profile business failures. And Charles Keating, something to do with John McCain too, but he donated millions of dollars to Mother Teresa. So he gave millions of dollars to the church, to Mother Teresa, lent her his private jet when she visited the United States. She refused to return the money that she had got and praised Keating repeatedly. So according to Mother Teresa, it doesn't matter how you got your money or power or wealth, she will take that money. So, she tells the poor in her ministries to accept their suffering in life while she's being used as a propaganda piece, and it's taking in millions of dollars. So in terms of, maybe she cared about the poor and she put herself in these, harsh climates and was able to survive and do well. But it wasn't to liberate the poor. It wasn't to, exalt the poor, to get them to stand up and do more. It was to make sure that they were suffering. So I don't think she had a worry. She didn't have any, I'm sure she was, she's got all these planes, people flying her all over the place, so her being starving or hungry, I bet she had, the top medical care, and, I don't know if she shared in their suffering, if that was just a fucked up, philosophy that she had, or if that was, you all need to suffer while I, sit over here and enjoy my resources and riches. So, her motivations, keeping people suffering, it's almost like the Sixth Sense, or that one Kentucky woman who poisoned her son to death with salt. He was suffering. He had to go through all these conditions, but she eventually got tired of him, so she killed him with too much salt. And, she got thrown in jail for that. But during the 5 years that the kid was alive, she was getting a lot of attention on the blogs, on the media, and she got all this attention, and loved it. She loved the attention, and that's what some people said. That's why she went ahead and killed him, or didn't, try to get him to fight his condition and to win and to be a healthy boy, but to maintain his suffering. So that way she gets the adulation, she gets the attention, and he dies. So that's sort of Mother Teresa's role. You maintain your suffering, I care, and give him a hug. I once saw this one picture of a starving African, and there was a Bible right next to him. And it said that only a Christian would think that a starving African person doesn't want food, resources to get food, but wants a fucking book to, brainwash them to not give a shit, Doug Stanhope was doing a stand-up routine, and, he had said sort of, the Christian was crying. Someone had died, but then they, at the same time, while they're crying and they're sad, they said that they're in heaven and that they're in a better place, So then why are you crying? Why are you crying? If you think that your loved one who just got shot in the face is in a better place, why are you sad? Why, if anything, he's actually attacking the raw emotion, but he's pointing out the hypocrisy. If that is a good thing, death means that you're in heaven flying above the clouds with everybody and just, doing wonderful, then why are you sad? Shouldn't you be happy? Shouldn't you be skipping up and down the street? Guess where my, the daughter, the mother of the 2-year-old child in Kentucky that got murdered by the 5-year-old, she said that he went to God, it was God's will. So if it's God's will, then she don't have to worry about it, right? Oh, it's okay. It's okay that my 5-year-old shot a 2-year-old while my back was turned. That's what God wanted, wanted him, that baby, more than she wanted her, evidently. So now the 2-year-old's dead. So good news, right? That's great news. She'd be like, hey, guess what, preacher, priest, great news. My 5-year-old kid just shot my 2-year-old, so my 2-year-old is already in heaven, already floating with the clouds, having a party with all, the angels and the harps, and got their angel wings. Perfect. They're dead, so that means they're happy and rich and finally have, bullshit. Fuck off. That's a mental illness. And there's one last thing here in white women in racialized spaces. They talked about how Mother Teresa is the quintessential white woman in poor clothes who goes and saves the world. They're talking about white women in racialized spaces, so a lot of times black bodies, brown bodies never liberated themselves. There's always a white person involved somehow. And sometimes it's the media, sometimes it's their access to power, or, a lot of reasons why that situation could arise. But they're saying specifically with Mother Teresa, she would go, in colonialized areas, Haiti, Albania, all these communist countries. They said that when non-white people labor in this direction, the media typically search for white benefactors or teachers, or else for white people to stand in the wings to direct the non-white actors. Dark bodies cannot act of their own volition to stretch their own capacity, for they must wait. The media seem to imply for some colonial administrator, some technocrat from IBM or the IMF to tell them how to do things. When it comes to saving the poor, the dark bodies are again invisible, for the media seem to celebrate only the worn-out platitudes of such as Mother Teresa, and ignore the struggles of those bodies for their own liberation too. Open the life of someone like Mother Teresa to scrutiny, therefore, is always difficult. Mother Teresa's work was part of a global enterprise for the alleviation of bourgeoisie guilt, rather than a genuine challenge to those forces that produce and maintain poverty. So last thing I'm going to say, another thing that makes me think about, not only is she a person who's given salt, to her dying child, just so, the suffering can't continue and she gets all the adulation and attention. Oh, look, Mother Teresa cares. Well, did she actually rescue anybody? Did anybody actually get up out of poverty? Did, anybody get the medicine that they need? Or did they, die and go to heaven quicker because they were enjoying the suffering of her philosophy? The last part is sort of like a back patter when it comes to homelessness. I really want change. I want substantial structural change. And it seems like homelessness, it could be very easy to solve if you actually had a person, a paid position person who's actually, you know, the head of the homelessness commission or something. There's 22 vacant buildings for every homeless person. So 22 vacant buildings, that just shows our callousness, our lack of care, lack of compassion. We don't give a damn. 22 homeless people, 22 homeless houses per homeless person. So we have the capability of solving homelessness, but we don't care. In Christmas, we might go to a soup kitchen, give someone a sandwich, pat ourselves on the back. We did something good, and then go back to our sort of nihilistic, selfish existence. But that doesn't solve the problem. For one day, yeah, you did something good, and I can't disparage someone doing something good because you keep doing something good. Eventually, you know, you'll give a shit. But it doesn't solve the problem. The problem is bigger. There's a big picture here. So you can do something that makes you feel good about yourself, but you didn't solve the problem. You know, teach a man to fish, give a man a fish. You gave a man a fish for a day, he ate for an hour, and then a couple hours later he was hungry again. So what did you actually do? You know, postponed his inevitable starvation. In some ways that might be considered cruel. But there's more you could do than just giving a man a fish. You could teach him to fish. There's actually, last thing I want to mention was a meme where they had said that if you teach a man, you know, give a man some corn he'll eat for a day, teach a man how to raise his own corn, and then he'll murder and slaughter and rape your whole family, take your land, and patent the corn that you taught him how to raise. And that actually, you know, goes to the colonialism that had started this wonderful, great nation that we live in love today. John Masters, straight up out of Appalachia. Peace.